Unit 3, Lesson 8, Practice Problems number 1. A kangaroo hops 2 kilometers in 3 minutes. At this rate, A, how long does it take the kangaroo to travel 5 kilometers? And B, how far does the kangaroo travel in 2 minutes? So we have a ratio. Kangaroo goes 2 kilometers in 3 minutes. 2 to 3, we're going to make a table. We have kilometers and we have minutes. And we're told that 2 kilometers takes 3 minutes. Now we need to know how long does it take the kangaroo to travel 5 kilometers. So we need a 5 here. And we want to know how long is that going to take. Remember that we're using multiplication or division to find an equivalent ratio. But for me, it's hard to think about how we're going to get from 2 to 5 with division or multiplication. So there's something else that can help us, and that's our unit rate. That's going to tell us how many minutes does it take the kangaroo to go 1 kilometer. And I do know how to get from 2 to 1. To get from 2 to 1, we divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Which means we have to divide 3 divided by 2. If we multiply both numbers by the same thing, we're going to end up with an equivalent ratio. We're also going to get the unit rate for minutes per kilometer. So we're doing 3 divided by 2. Remember, we've been talking about how we can rewrite a division problem using a fraction. This is our fraction line, but it's also stands for division. So 3 divided by 2 is the same thing as 3 over 2, which is 3 halves. I know that 2 halves make a whole, and then I just have 1 half left over. So 3 halves as a mixed number is 1 and 1 half. That means that in 1.5 minutes, this kangaroo can travel 1 kilometer. This is our unit rate. Now we're going to use this information to figure out how many minutes it takes the kangaroo to go 5 kilometers. So to get from 1 to 5, we're multiplying by 5. We're taking 1.5 and we're multiplying by 5. If the kangaroo goes 1.5, if the kangaroo takes 1.5 minutes to go 1 kilometer, how many minutes for 5 kilometers? I'm going to give us some space over here. So we are doing 5. No, we're not. We're doing 1.5 times 5. This means we have 5 of these. Or, 5 of those. 1.5 times 5. We can do 5 times 1 is 5. And then we're doing 5 times a half, which is a half plus a half plus a half plus a half, 5 times. I know that 2 halves make a whole. This is 1 whole, 2 wholes, and a half. So we have 5, and then we have 2.5. So 5 times 1.5 is 7.5. That means that it will take the kangaroo 7.5 minutes to go 5 kilometers. How long does it take the kangaroo to travel 5 kilometers? 7 1.5 minutes. B says, how far does the kangaroo travel in 2 minutes? So now we're trying to find a 2 here. Again, we can look up here, and going from 3 to 2 is not very easy. 7.5 to 2, 1.5 to 2, using multiplication or division is not easy. But if we find out how far the kangaroo can go in 1 minute, we can use that information. So I'm going to use this 3 and try and get to 1. I know that 3 divided by 3 equals 1. That means we have to use the 2 divided by 3 to figure out this. 2 divided by 3 is the same thing as 2 over 3, which we know is 2/3. 2/3. This means that the kangaroo goes 2/3 of a kilometer per 1 minute. Now we're trying to find out how far in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 1 times 2 is 2, which means we do 2/3 times 2. 2/3 times 2 is just 2/3 plus 2/3, which is 4/3. I know that it takes 3/3 to make a whole. This is 4/3, which means we have 1 whole and 1/3 left over. How far does the kangaroo travel in 2 minutes? 1 1/3 kilometers. So in order to figure out this problem, we needed to find 2 different unit rates. Oops, yeah, 1 1/3 goes here. We needed to find 2 unit rates. We found this unit rate, which tells us that the kangaroo takes 1.5 minutes per 1 kilometer. And then we found this unit rate, which tells us that the kangaroo goes 2/3 kilometers per minute. 2 different unit rates, but they both have a 1. And we use that information to solve our problems. 7.5 minutes for 5 kilometers, and 1 1/3 kilometer in 2 minutes.